What's up, everybody? Naomi Kyle here with your E3 live show streaming on e3.ign.com. E3 2011 has already started out with a bang, and everyone's bringing out the big guns. For the next 3 days, IGN's live show will bring you exclusive games, demos, interviews, and footage of the hottest new games. There's a ton to see, so let's get the party started with a little small game called Mass Effect 3. Let's now throw it over to IGN's Hillary Goldstein and see how Commander Shepard is doing.
Thanks, Naomi. So we are here to check out Mass Effect 3. We're actually going to get 2 demos today. We're going to get to see combat for Mass Effect 3 and learn how that's changed from Mass Effect 2. And we're going to kind of get to see the big scale battles and the threat that's coming to Earth in Mass Effect 3. And we're here actually with Casey Hudson, executive producer on Mass Effect 3. Casey, what can you tell us to expect? What can we expect from this combat demo?
Well, we're going to start in just one of the worlds you'll visit. You know, it's Mass Effect, so you're going to go to a lot of places in the galaxy. We actually showed yesterday some of the bigger moments at the stage demo. We're actually going to put you in the same space as Reapers, you know, these mile-high, super intelligent starships. So there's lots of really huge moments, but there's also just the intense third-person shooter combat, which is a big part of Mass Effect 3. So we're going to show that right here.
Cool, let's jump into it. So can you explain where are we right now when we land in here?
Well, Mass Effect 3 is really all about a galactic war. This is full-scale galactic war, and it's about the scale of civilizations. Shepard right here is caught in between 2 warring civilizations, and he's really trying to rescue this one person that holds a key to an alliance between them.
Well, and you know, in Mass Effect 2, it was all about finding a party for a suicide mission and sort of gaining their loyalty, but the scale is much bigger this time around, right? These aren't just party members that you're trying to gain, it's the loyalty of what, entire races?
That's right. You know, a lot of the fun with this story in particular is we literally are thinking about the biggest story we could possibly tell. And that's why it's great for new players to jump into is, you know, we knew from the beginning that we're telling a trilogy story. So there is a backstory to it, but this is the beginning of all the biggest events. So it's a great payoff for fans as well, because if you played them before, then you can actually see how your decisions have actually changed what you'll see in this game. So that's a big part of it. And then also, you know, as you're going through, like you say, it's about these big stories, but it's trying to tell those big stories through personal relationships and characters that you actually really start to care about in ways that I think you'll be surprised at in you know, coming from a video game.
And I think for people who have played Mass Effect before, they might see a few things that are new, but they might think the combat is very similar to Mass Effect 2, but it's not. It plays very different, right?
That's right. The overall idea of combat is similar. You have a squad of 3 characters. You can be very tactical. But one of the things that we've done, for example, you saw right there, the cover taking and movement is a lot more fluid, a lot more aggressive. But we've also introduced a new weapon called the Omniblade. And we did this because you can actually reach around and over cover to do melee attacks. So just there's a lot more visceral things you can do. And the Omniblade kind of gets to that very visceral, brutal kind of style that we're starting to integrate in Mass Effect 3. And one of the things we'll see here is, you know, we just saw kind of a more conventional kind of combat, and Corey's just kind of shooting his way through. But what we'll see here, enemies are a lot more complicated in Mass Effect 3 in terms of their intelligence and their behaviors. The cool thing about this is that because you have a squad of characters and because you have powers, the existing tactics of the way a Mass Effect game plays work so much better with enemies that are smart. For example, that guy there who advances with a shield, you might have seen that in a first-person shooter, but when you have a squad, suddenly flanking a guy like that really makes sense, because you can literally tell your team to be at one side of the level, run around, you know, behind a wall, and you are literally flanking them on purpose in a very real way. Or even powers like biotics. You can get Liara to rip that shield right out of his hand by saying pull, or you can get Garrus to do his concussive round, and it'll literally blast the shield back, and the guy will stumble, and then you can get in some shots. So all the tactics really work when you have more complicated enemies.
And this is the Krogan princess, right, that you're trying to rescue?
the supposed Krogan princess. It's become sort of an internet meme. She's not actually a princess,
okay,
but close enough. She has sort of a tiara. But we are kind of expanding the fiction, so we're seeing a Krogan female, and she is very pivotal to plot. If you played Mass Effect before, you know that one of the really neat plots on a high level is that the Krogans, these huge sort of, almost lizard-like creatures, they're very smart, and you can have them as a squad member and stuff like that. But in Mass Effect, we're going to see a kind of stealth approach here. It's another Omniblade kill. But part of this mission is about the fact that this Krogan female is actually a fertile female, whereas all of the Krogans really they can't reproduce anymore because they have a disease. That's why she's pivotal in this particular mission.
And we've seen that the enemies definitely seem a little bit tougher, but things are going to get even more difficult as we kind of progress through this demo. Can you talk about what else we're going to see coming along the way and how, I guess, enemies are going to challenge you a little bit more than they did in Mass Effect 2?
That's right. I mean, and you have your choice of how you want to fight it. So Corey's doing this one in kind of more of a run and gun style. He's a soldier character in this particular demo. So he's able to go into adrenaline rush, slow down time, toss a grenade, which is new to Mass Effect 3, and then really go in there with all his squad powers. So that's one of the tools that you have. Another one of the tools that you have is the fact that we're really expanding what you can do in terms of modifying your weapons. So you can literally, whether you're in a level or you're on the Normandy, you can literally take your weapon and throw it down on a bench, and you've collected or bought a bunch of mods. If you're going to play in a certain way, you'll think about the different things you can plug into it and say, I wish I had bigger rate of fire in that last battle. Let's throw the weapon down and fix that.
And you guys, is this correct that you've gotten rid of the thing where you could only use certain weapons for certain classes? Now it's opened up a little bit more?
That's right. We're letting everyone can run around with 3 weapons and a heavy weapon. You can have everyone can carry all the classes, but the soldier is the one that actually can carry sort of all the classes at once, and that really helps kind of differentiate the soldier. But also, regardless of what class you are, you're able to carry all the different classes of weapons, and again, choose how you want to play by combining classes and combining weapons in different styles.
And we just this is I guess you'd almost think of this as a mini boss, right? What is this that's just dropped down?
Yeah, so that there is a Cerberus Atlas. So it's a pretty huge enemy. It's a mech that will stomp around the battlefield. But the coolest thing about it is if you can destroy the pilot before you destroy the vehicle, you can jump in it and you can control it to dominate the battlefield. So that's really one of the big things about Mass Effect 3 is not just bigger enemies, but more interesting and more complicated approaches to combat.
Cool. And so the next section that we're going to be seeing is kind of gives you a better sense, I guess, of the scale of Mass Effect 3, because the idea is that this isn't sort of a minor thing. This is a threat to the entire galaxy, right? This is the final kind of battle against this threat to the entire galaxy. So you kind of set up what we're going to be seeing here in the next section?
Well, I think one of the really cool things that we're doing, both for existing fans and people who are new to the franchise, is we're starting out on Earth. And that's a big deal because if you followed along with us, you know that Mass Effect has never really showed what happens on Earth, what Earth looks like in this fiction. And so that's a big deal for people to actually see it and be there for the first time in this series. But for new players as well, it's a great place to start. You're Commander Shepard, you're on the Earth, and everything builds up from there when the Reapers arrive. So that's what we're about to see here. And one of the big things that this shows too is just the fact that Mass Effect 3 is about a galactic war. So everything that you're going to see is on such a bigger scale than we've ever done before in this series.
Cool. And I guess set the stage. So Shepard is on Earth because of what reason?
Well, after Mass Effect 2, and you might have done some of the DLC and stuff like that. Basically, Mass Effect 1 and 2 tell the story of how Commander Shepard has been trying to warn people that there's a race of machines out there that are basically unstoppable. They harvest all life in the galaxy every 50,000 years, and they're coming back. And so that leads right up into Mass Effect 3. Shepard's taken a lot of pretty questionable actions, very, very, almost in a Jack Bauer style. There are things you have to do when making decisions about, important things that there's been a lot of collateral damage. So basically, Shepard is on Earth in hearings about previous actions. And again, if you've played before, the game knows what those actions would have been. But the hearings are cut short, and the Reapers arrive.
And I just noticed in the cityscape, this looks like it might be Vancouver. Is that correct?
Yeah, this actually, we kind of imagine a city that is kind of on the west coast, Vancouver, Seattle, bridging across to Asia, and it's kind of like a aerospace center in the future.
Sure.
And that's kind of where this starts out. What we're showing here is actually the fact that, we wanted to make sure people saw that, story is still the cornerstone of a Mass Effect experience, and we're doing things we've never done before in Mass Effect to show you that even tiny little actions can have a very powerful, very important consequence. And the degree, this is really the end of Shepard's journey in this trilogy, and we're going to do things with the emotional journey in this that I think people are going to be really blown away by. This is kind of a little hint at that.
Well, and that looked like, was that Captain Anderson? Is
That's
that
right.
correct? And he can actually be in your squad now, is that correct? That's how it looked like from the trailer.
Captain Anderson's running around with you at the beginning of the game on Earth, and so that's what we see here. And he's kind of an example of how, we've built up this fiction that a lot of people love, a lot of the big storylines, and even the small storylines. People ask about minor characters, are they coming back, and stuff like that. So we're able to have a lot of fun with the big characters and the small characters, and just really bringing all of this stuff to resolution.
Gotcha. And can you talk maybe a little bit about how some of the bigger decisions I've made in Mass Effect 1 and 2 might affect even kind of the opening level for Mass Effect 3?
Well, I think one thing that we're going to see right up ahead is one of the first people that you'll meet is either Ashley or Caden. But if you played Mass Effect 1, you know that only one of them can survive Mass Effect 1.
Let's be fair. Most people will see Ashley.
That's probably true. Yeah, there's some love for Caden out there, but not a lot.
And actually, what we just saw was these are husks, correct?
Yeah, so one thing that the Reapers do, obviously they're extremely large enemies. They're literally like a mile high. So what they do to interact on more of a human level is they're constantly figuring out ways to sort of manipulate and mutate existing creatures and races. So these guys that you're fighting are called cannibals, and they have very specific kind of behavior, certain things that they do. But they're actually based on the Batarians. So you'll actually see people and species in the game that you'll talk to as like normal people, and then later you'll see versions of them that have been mutated into these creatures that you'll have to fight.
I know the question for all Mass Effect 2 fans is, will we see mutated Elcor?
That's a good question. I think we might have to add that one in.
Great. So right now, I guess to set up maybe what this mission exactly is where are you headed? What is your goal kind of at the outset?
You're basically trying to escape the Earth. That's kind of the beginning of one of the key themes in Mass Effect 3 is the futility of an enemy that's unstoppable. So really at this point, Shepard and Anderson are trying to survive. They're trying to figure out how to get away. And they know that the Normandy is out there somewhere. The Alliance has kind of taken control of it. But they know it's out there somewhere with hopefully some of their friends still on it. So they're just trying to call in the Normandy at this point.
And so can you maybe talk a little bit about, once you're off of Earth, how you reconnect and who you might be able to reconnect with?
Well, yeah, that's really where a lot of the adventure begins, is once you can escape the Earth, it's very hard for Shepard to leave all of this behind and not stay there fighting, but you know that you really have to get out there and bring back the cavalry, essentially, because you can't fight it out on the Earth. The Reapers are too strong. But your friends are all scattered across the galaxy, so it's very hard to go find them, and frankly, they're caught up in their own issues because the entire galaxy is at war. So there's a lot of other things going on. So it's not a collection quest about trying to get your crew. It's really about trying to resolve all the biggest storylines in the Mass Effect universe, and then bring that all into that final fight.
Great, and it looks like we have a Normandy that looks a little bit different now. I guess the Alliance has changed it up a little bit.
That's right. It was built as a Cerberus ship, but the Alliance has taken control of it after you're kind of detained in your hearings. So it'll be a little bit different. You'll notice some things added to it, some things changed about it, but it's still the same great ship.
Great, awesome. So let me ask you this, the most important question of all. When would people be able to play Mass Effect 3?
Well, we're very excited to tell people here at E3 that Mass Effect 3 comes out on March 6, 2012 on Xbox 360, PS3, and the PC.
Great, thank you so much. That's been Casey Hudson. We've been checking out Mass Effect 3. We got to see both the combat and we got to see the giant scale battles. How big were those Reapers? Pretty incredible, right? So we're gonna go kick it on back to Naomi.
Thanks a lot, everybody. As for you viewers out there, how did that game look to you? Follow at IGN on Twitter or check out our Facebook page and let us know. Next, we're getting back to the fight with Battlefield 3. You won't want to miss it.